Okay guys, so welcome to a different kind of video. I ordered through Costco a bunch of those like heavy duty totes. I don't know, it's like an 8-pack for $100 and I ordered 2 packs. And I wanted something super heavy duty to store my currently listed inventory in. So I'm going to start with packing up stuff that's up here in my reselling room. And I stopped and got extra packing paper for this, as well as in order for me to know without having to open up every tote and every item in the tote once it's wrapped up and packaged in the tote, I bought a bunch of these labels so that I can label the outside of the tote with, you know, a little ditty about what the item is that is in there. So while I won't be able to probably keep all these in here at once, let's open them up. So a little different kind of video, and no thrifting today. Today is the beginning of the packing process, and I figured I would ponder some thoughts while we do this. So let's pull out the first tote. This may not have been the best way to open it because they're upside down, but I do everything the hard way. If you haven't noticed, nevertheless, it gets done. Okay, first big tote. And now let me move this giant box with remaining totes out of the way. The smaller box. I bet you guys can guess what's in it. It would be the lids that go to said totes. Oh dear golly. It's gonna make me pull them all out, isn't it? Oh, come on now. You sons of guns. Alright. Because they all have these like latch parts on the top, they all kind of stick together. Well, we'll get that off in a minute. Back in the box with the rest of you. In a recent video I did, I was wandering through the thrift store and just kind of generally asking folks, like, in regards to my live sales, you know, given my circumstances, and I don't really have a good ideal way to set things up to make it like I'd want it to do live sales, you know what I mean? In this particular situation. So, I was just kind of venting, I guess, sort of some frustration, but also just like general curiosity. Like, I see people selling similar, if not sometimes the same items that I sell, and I see that they often receive more than one bid on that item. And I had just noticed a trend after doing 11 dining room purge live sales, a trend where anything that I ran, for the most part, there's a couple exceptions there, but for the most part, pretty much everything I ran would receive one bid and that was it. And some of y'all came back. I guess I won't open these yet because I still have some packing paper right here. Some of y'all came back and kind of mentioned things like, I suppose, at least in text version, I don't think anybody meant anything necessarily negative, or I'd like to think not anyhow. But mention things like that perhaps people are bidding just out of pity because of your situation. There was another person that was essentially saying that because of my location in the country, I don't get good inventory, so that's why. There was a few comments that were left that I feel like in some ways were intended to be constructive criticism, and yet there was a part of me that was, I don't want to say offended, but, you know, I just kind of thought in my mind, like, what do they really mean by that? One of it, which too was, you know, basically stop thrifting and adding to your inventory, which when I go thrifting, I generally really only get a few things. I think you guys may have noticed that over my last few videos. There's a lot of stuff that I leave behind, a lot of stuff that I tell you guys, you know, this is worth money, and I'll show you guys the comps on it and stuff, and I still leave it because I know that I don't need to be adding tons and tons to things to list. So generally when I go out thrifting, I'm looking for things that would potentially do okay in a live sale. You know, they're more live sale appropriate, size wise, all that kind of stuff. And not all of it's going to be high dollar stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not even worried about everything I run, like having a bidding war and going for high dollar. That's not my concern. I started wondering after my 11th sale, is it worth me putting in the effort and energy into continuing to do live sales instead of just listing those items? Because there's a lot of work that if you're not a reseller, you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. And so, I don't know, I've been trying to weigh that out. With everything else going on, is it worth me still continuing to do that? And there was one person's comment, Kathleen, I believe her name is, and I really loved her comment, and I pinned her comment in that video because she gave a handful of people, including Scott from Scott's old Curiosity Shop, a handful of people that do live sales that would be good to check out and kind of see what they kind of do differently and stuff, that sell similar items to me or sell in a similar way that I do and stuff like that. But I thought that they were good resources to look into, not just for me, but for everybody else, which is why I pinned that comment. And I just thought that was very useful. That was a useful piece of information. I never brought up what was going on in my personal life in order to gain pity or sales. In fact, a lot of folks messaged me and or left comments saying, you know, start a buy me a coffee thing or some sort of like a GoFundMe sort of idea and stuff. And I just don't want to do any of that. I shared what I shared with you guys, which is a very small portion of the entirety of what has been going on. I shared with you guys a very small portion. And the reason I really did that was because I was going to be running all these sales, and I was also going to be putting my eBay store on 50% off and then 35% off. And, you know, I knew I'd be doing all this stuff, and I kind of wanted to give people an explanation as to why. Because, well, for one, I feel like I've always said, other small resellers out there, I didn't want to give people the wrong impression like that's the way I would normally run my eBay store, because it's not. I think putting your store on sale every once in a while is a good idea, but to do 50% off, maybe not. Maybe some of your items that have been sitting around for over a year, you know, yeah, put those on 50% off if you feel like that's appropriate, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to kind of give people an understanding as to why I was doing some of the things I was doing with my store and my business. And because I think that throughout my videos going forward, there was going to be no way around me hiding what's going on. And so I'd rather be open and honest about what I can with you guys. And so I do want to let everybody out there know, you know, who has sent their kind words and everything. It really does. It means a lot. You guys have no idea. I enjoy doing the live sales. If for no other reason, I enjoy doing them because it's, you know, an hour or two where I get to mentally escape everything else for a little bit and just kind of chit chat with you guys and hang out and stuff like that. But once the sale ends, I go back to reality. And the reality is I'm trying to weigh out, is the benefit worth the effort? The good news, if there could be good news, the good news is, as far as my eBay store, as far as what I have listed and what's up in this room, I have dropped my eBay store item count from like 700 something down to, I don't know, 200 or 300 something. So I have cleared out a lot of inventory. Now the stuff that's in the living room, that's stuff that I'm going to start working on packing up. Well, I'm going to list it, pack it, and then, so that will take a little bit longer. But the stuff that's up here, I wanted to go ahead and just get packing away. My plan is to, in each tote, put obviously similar items. And I figured we could start maybe with glass. Why not? Start with some of the most delicate things. That makes sense. So I suppose while I try, oh, I'm gonna need my tape. Hold on. Okay, painter's tape I'm gonna use. So this was a Murano style. It actually very well could be Murano, but I have no proof or evidence of that. So it's a Submerso style glass whale. Okay, we're gonna set that there because I feel like these bigger pieces like this, oh dear Lord, should go towards the bottom. And I know as soon as I wrap these all up, then somebody's going to buy it and I'm going to have to dig it all out, which is part of my, it's part of my dread in packing all this up, is because I just dang well know that's how it's going to go. Because that's how it always goes. But anyway, it must be done. So I suppose I get where people are coming from as far as, like, you know, don't continue adding inventory and stuff, but I have a YouTube channel, and that is a very small, super teeny tiny portion of monthly income, but it is part of my monthly income. And I would be surprised if this video, because there's no thrifting involved, I would be surprised if this gets many views at all. That's just the way it works. Ask any thrifter, YouTuber, thrifter, reseller. That's just how it works. Hello, Theodore. Can I help you? Are you lonely? Huh? Are you lonely? Yeah, I know. There's a lot of changes going on, obviously, around the house. We had a dumpster delivered this morning, and so a lot has been going into that. Oh, somebody had recommended that I just give up reselling and just change my career. And I understand why some people would say that. I do. I get it. I feel like this needs some bubble around it. However, when I've spent this amount of time and energy and everything on building this little business, that's just not something I'm looking to do. And I'm not packing these things in the same way that I would if I was packaging them like it had sold. I'm really just packaging it so that in theory it hopefully doesn't get broken. That's the goal. Alright guys, different day. My husband had ordered a dumpster so that we could get working on basically getting rid of, frankly, a lot of clutter and crap that we needed to get rid of anyway. So we got rid of a ton of stuff, and it actually does feel quite a bit lighter in the house. So anyway, the dumpster arrives, and I did finish packing up what I could into that one tote. Our plan right now is the shelves that, if you go back, way back in time, to the beginning of my channel where I used to do all my videos out of my basement and basically just go through inventory that I already had to show you guys the history on it and all that stuff, and then I would list it typically shortly thereafter that video. So those shelves, sure enough, are not 100% empty, but they're pretty well cleared out, you guys. I've had a lot of you guys ask me, especially since all this has happened, you know, like my basement situation and clearing out all that storage and all that stuff. I have sold a very good portion already out of my older inventory. There are still a few things listed in my eBay that have been listed for 2-3 years now, but it's very, very few. And every once in a while they do sell, especially when I put my store on sale. But really, for the most part, there's not much inventory at all left downstairs. There's some drinkware I want to bring up. That's the main thing, honestly, that comes to mind. But nonetheless, just rambling on. Nonetheless, those heavy industrial shelves that I had spent quite a bit of money on that are down there, that's where I'm going to go put my totes once they're full and ready. And so Kyle will go and stick them down there. For the time being, that's the plan. That way we can declutter the upstairs as much as possible. So as I go on continuing with listing things and everything, I can literally clean it up, you know, process it, photograph it, list it, tote it, you know. That's my plan. And you guys, so I gotta sit down. My back is killing me after this past weekend. I had some of you guys checking in on me about where I was on Sunday, and I was going to make a short and tell you guys I wasn't going to be doing a live sale Sunday, but I really didn't have a lot of time to do that because I didn't anticipate the dumpster being dropped off as quickly as it was. And so, anywho, we spent the weekend doing that. And then last night, Sunday night, it got picked up. And so, or Monday night, today's Tuesday now. Monday night, it got picked up. And so, that's where I was Sunday night. And so, Romy, I love you. Thanks for texting me, checking to make sure I was okay. I'm okay. Everything is okay. All things considered. But that's where I was. So, obviously I still have more work to do, and I may give my body the day to kind of reset a little bit and recharge and then get back to it. Maybe later this evening I'll come in here. But yeah, I normally don't make these kinds of videos, guys. One, because there's no thrifting involved, and so very few people will watch this video. But 2, it's kind of boring for you guys. I'm going to be honest. I just felt like things maybe needed to be... Maybe I wasn't always saying things right. But currently, as things are, we are taking things just kind of day by day. And that's where it's at. You know, I hope to be able to continue reselling. It's not something that I started just a few weeks or even a year ago. This is something I began, I mean, honestly, really a few years ago, and have slowly built it to what it is now. And while I wish my channel had grown so much more, I don't know the rhyme or reason to that. I watch other people's channels that are similar to mine. I really don't know what they do that's so much differently than me, other than fill their cart on every trip. That seems to be a big catch line, you know, under videos that draws people's attention. You know, couldn't stop shopping. My arms were full. You know, blah, 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 blah. I bought everything. And those videos really draw people in. And I'm over here like, we're going to go in and we're just going to look around and we're just, you know, so I get it, I guess. At this point, I'm just struggling with whether or not I want to continue doing live sales. I did have, on my most recent video that came out, I think, I did have somebody, and I'm so sorry, I'm gonna put a picture of the comment on the screen, who mentioned that they'd been watching Niknax, and I think they said whatnot sellers, but some other people who do live sales, you know, and that they notice a lot of them start their pieces off at like dirt cheap, like, you know, $1 or $2, that kind of thing, and then they continue to get bids, and that's fine. But the reason I haven't been doing that is because Jocelyn, Crazy Lamp Lady, has said that she doesn't really want to see a lot of sales that are starting at just $1. You know, she doesn't want her e-commerce marketplace to turn into another whatnot. She doesn't want it bombarded with nothing but resellers. She doesn't want it bombarded with just, you know, people selling cheap inventory for super cheap all the time and stuff like that. Like, I think as a reseller, and she's been doing it long enough, she understands, you know, you kind of got to have some wiggle room. You got to go up and down a little bit here and there. My average starting rate on most pieces is about $10. If there's any damage to it, I usually will lower that even more. But like $10 to $12 is about my average starting rate. So let's say the item sells for the $10. I still have to pay a $10 seller's fee. And then I buy all the supplies, and, you know, there's a lot of extra cost, plus just my time and energy in doing my darndest to pack it well and make sure it arrives to you okay. That takes a lot of time. And so when things do sell for that, it's not that everything that I sell is worth so much more than that, or that I'm expecting it to bid way up. But I do know that I have sold things that definitely should have gone for more than $12. And unfortunately, and this is not the fault of the buyer who bid on it and won it. Congratulations to you. That's amazing. But I think that most people watching that sale, they can look it up and they know what the average resale value on that item is, and they know that that person got a really darn good deal on it. And I run them that way, and I felt like I was starting them low enough that it still entice people to get in on the bidding, you know, and maybe not reach, and not likely anyway, to reach the actual average retail rate of it. Like if I sold it on eBay, like let it sit and wait for a seller or a buyer, it would at least start to approach somewhere closer to that number. And I just haven't really seen that happening. And so I don't really know what to do differently about that other than to raise my starting bid. Because like I was saying, if the item sells for $10 and I pay out the 10% seller's fee plus shipping supplies, plus I don't charge for my time of packaging it up and all that stuff, I don't do any of those extra charges on you guys. And so when all is said and done, that $10 has dwindled down to maybe $5 or $6 that I've made on the item. That, let's just say that same item normally on average sells for $30 on eBay, you know? So yes, while I do want things to move and move quickly, I'm going to do what I need to do. I don't want to just give away all of my inventory and in fact lose money on all of my inventory. And not to mention all the stress and everything that I'm already going through, and then to be watching inventory go out the door that I know I should be making more on. I just have to be willing to list it and sit on it. The problem is I'm in a transition phase where I don't know exactly where I'm going to store everything if we in fact wind up selling the house and moving forward with all this and blah blah blah. You know, my plan as of now, if that's the way it goes, is to get a storage unit, but at least everything will already be in totes and easier to move directly into a climate controlled storage unit. I don't look forward to that type of scenario though, because that will be such a pain in the butt. I will have to be in and out of that storage unit, I imagine, multiple times a day. So it's not ideal, but potentially I could make something like that work. I thought I would make a different kind of video, even though I know that because there's no thrifting or reselling involved really in this video, that very few people will watch it. But I wanted to reach out to some of you guys, especially you smaller sellers and stuff, and explain a little bit more as to where I was coming from with what I was talking about in that video the other day. The holidays are happening pretty much now. Like it's you know, so that's one reason I'm enjoying running live sales. I feel like that's a good way for y'all to get maybe some Christmas gifts for people y'all, you know, want to get gifts for potentially, or out of my eBay or Niknax store, same thing. And so I'll be keeping, you know, discounts going on my eBay and Niknax store and kind of fluctuate those around, you know, a bit here and there. But I'm planning on being there this Sunday and just kind of seeing how things go. I think I kind of have the gist of the live sale thing down. It's just, I don't know how some people do it. I think the trick is some people have just been doing live sales long enough that they have enough of a following that people will bid up on things. And by bid up, I don't mean bid even more than the item's worth. I just mean there's willing to be more than one bidder on the item. I don't know that every item I hold up is something that everybody in the room wants, but when I have anywhere from 60 to 80 or occasionally sometimes over 100 people in the room, I find it unlikely that there's not, at the very least, one other person that would be interested in that item. I just find that odd. So, if in fact people are showing up to my live sales and bidding and getting things just merely out of pity for me and my situation, I don't like that feeling. I guess that's the honest truth about that. I don't like that feeling. I don't want the pity. What I'm going through is something that I mean, countless people have gone through. And like I said in the beginning of this, my intention in telling you guys what was, you know, the tiny bit that I did of what was going on was never to gain attention or popularity. You may notice I've never yet made a video entitled or thumbnailed it in a way that is like, you know, holy crap, my life's falling apart. You know, I don't want to make clickbait out of my personal life. I feel like that's inappropriate and it makes me feel gross. And so that's why the things that I've told you guys, I've also held off on talking about them until towards the end of a couple videos, because I know, looking at my analytics, that a very large portion of the people who watch my videos watch about 10 or 15 minutes worth, and then they're done. And that's totally fine. I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying that there's some of y'all out there that I do know legit follow my channel, and you watch every video from beginning to end, and you're the folks that those more personal messages and moments are intended to know, so that you'll have an idea of what the hell's going on. When you see me leaving things that I clearly show you by comp are worth picking up generally. And you'll hear me say in a lot of videos, and I'm sure you have, that you know, this is worth picking up, guys. And normally I would, but I'm going to leave it here so my local folks, when this video comes out, come get it if you want, you know, kind of thing. And I don't know, guys. If I'm going to be 100% honest with you, every day is a struggle. And so I know I'm not the only one of you guys out there going through an everyday struggle. So today is going to be kind of a rest day. I'm going to edit this video, but it's fine. I'm exhausted. My mind is exhausted. My body is exhausted. Emotionally, I'm exhausted. I am running low on fuel. And I think I need a day or so to recharge. I really appreciate all you guys. I really do. Especially anybody who sits and watches this video from beginning to end. I know it's been a bit torturous. Anywho, I'm gonna go get something to eat, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.